While Moscow asserts that its military actions are directed at ISIL, the vast majority of Russian airstrikes are targeted in areas where the Assad regime has lost territory to forces led by the moderate opposition: Hama, Homs, Aleppo, and Idlib. Now Russia's fielding its own artillery and other ground assets around Hama and Homs, greatly increasing Russia's own soldiers' vulnerability to counterattack. And Moscow has failed, as you said and as Assistant Secretary Patterson said, to exact any humanitarian concessions from the Assad regime as the price for Russian support. The regime continues to barrel bomb its own citizens with impunity, perhaps even emboldened by Moscow's help. None of this has been cost-free for Russia itself. In pure economic terms, the price of its air campaign is estimated at $2 to $4 million per day. This at a time when average Russians are feeling the pinch of recession brought on by economic mismanagement, low oil prices, and sanctions applied for the Kremlin's last military adventure in Ukraine.
I realize you're not speaking for the Department of Defense.
We have limited our own military cooperation with Russia to the most basic of aviation deconfliction procedures to protect our own air crews. What would positive cooperation by Russia look like? First, Russia would turn its guns on ISIL and stop the carnage in and around Syria's western cities. As the price of its support, Moscow would insist that Assad ground the helicopters and planes that he's using to barrel bomb innocents on a daily basis. And it would urgently work with us, our allies, and UN envoy Staffan de Mistura to turn the statement of principles that Secretary Kerry, Foreign Minister Lavrov, and 17 other ministers and institutions released in Vienna last Friday into a true ceasefire, a parallel political transition process, and hasten the day that Assad's bloody tenure comes to an end. The quality of our cooperation with Russia in Syria depends on the choices that Moscow makes.
Do you have anything to add?
Simply to say that we've been very clear with the Russians. The only way we'd end up in a joint strategy is if the Russians agreed to the general premise that we have to have a ceasefire, we have to have a transitional government, and we have to have a decision on getting rid of Assad. That's what the Secretary's been working on. In the meantime, we're working on ISIS, and they're working in a different part of Syria to defend Assad. So I don't see working together militarily unless and until it's all efforts on a transition.